We're gonna show you the fastest way to build athletic strength specifically for basketball, and we're gonna start right now. So basketball requires a tremendous amount of athleticism. And to manifest that athleticism, we've got to have some semblance of strength. And one of the best ways that we can build strength specifically for basketball is to improve our absolute strength and then use some type of rapid movement. And this is known as doing a contrast method with training. And so what we're gonna show you first here is that we're gonna develop some serious strength throughout the legs, throughout the entire trunk, by doing a trap bar deadlift. Now, I'm usually not the biggest fan of trap bar deadlifts, but basketball players tend to be extraordinarily tall. So a lot of times a movement like a trap bar deadlift, which might be a little easy for someone who's shorter, is actually perfect for an individual who tends to be a taller person. So we can get on a trap bar deadlift, it shortens the range of motion quite a bit, but it also takes a little bit of load off of your back while strengthening your quads tremendously. So we'll go set here, chest has to be up, and we're gonna drive through the floor, straight up, come down, and you can rest and get back up. Now, if we're doing a drop set, those sets of 9, we could go tap and go like this. Oh, oh, one more, boom. That's a really good way to strengthen the back and the quads specifically for basketball. 4 sets of 5, and then 2 sets of 9 where it would be unbroken with a tap, tap, tap. Now, in most cases, when we're using a contrast method, you would hit that absolute strength movement, then you would rest about a minute to a minute and a half. Okay, and in this case, we're gonna show you a hide and jump. So we're gonna work on developing that strength here and then transferring that strength using some forms of rate coding. Okay, so we're gonna get into this position. We wanna muscle mash and react as quickly as possible. I'm gonna show you an easy version first. So we might go here, drop, land. Easy, drop, land. The next step would be, we get a little bit more advanced. We're on the second, third set. Now we're gonna go here, drop, jump, land here on the box. So that's the second progression. The third progression, and typically what I would recommend is that you do the first progression for the first set, second progression for the second set. If we're doing 6 sets of trap bar deads, we want to do 6 sets of 3 to each side. We're going to do both sides. Now, this would be the third progression, and I believe this will carry over very well to the defensive side of playing basketball, or even just grabbing a rebound on offense. We're going to go here, boom, boom, boom. We want to land with the hands up. That's going to help stimulate that dynamic trunk control. Make sure we're pairing trap bar deadlifts. Use that proper technique. Come over to the hide and jumps, execute these, use that progression. If you're not good at that last progression right away, build up over a couple sets. Use this to develop that athletic strength for basketball. I'm giving away 1 free shirt to anyone who, 1, comments down below. 2, make sure that you subscribe to our channel and have all active channel notifications. And 3, show up to our Tuesday public lives to find out if you won the shirt. Basketball players often worry that excess mass will slow them down. And to a point, they're right. Too much wobble and excess mass can indeed slow you down. However, if that extra mass is muscular based, you're going to improve your overall agility and your ability to coordinate at rapid speeds, especially if you're training as effectively as possible. We want to focus on elasticity. We want to focus on those rapid movements and the ability to recruit quickly, to jump through different angles, and to absorb blows when we're on the basketball court so that we can have that superior performance. Now, what about explosive movements that are going to help you feel like a total freak out on the court? One thing we've got to think about in basketball is there's a lot of counter movements, okay? You're going to be dropping, jumping, dropping, jumping. Even when you hit a jumper, there will be a counter movement into a large jump. We have to be explosive. We have to be strong. We've got to have dynamic trunk control, and that's going to take us into this next key exercise. This is going to be a technical coordination exercise. It's going to be absolutely fantastic for basketball players. And I'm going to give you 2 options here. 1, if you have access to jerk boxes, you can use this movement. 2, if you don't have access to jerk boxes, I'm gonna give you a sweet alternative. And that's one of the big factors around our app, Peak Strength. If you want to replace an exercise, you can just hit replace exercise if you don't have that equipment. Now, we're gonna be in a position where we wanna do a behind the neck power jerk. The Chicago Bulls back in the 90s when they had Al Vermeil as their strength coach, used this movement all the time. And we wanna focus on counter movement, okay? So we're here, counter movement, we're gonna explode. So here, boom, come back down, dip, boom. Come back down, boom. And we wanna be stable in that overhead position. You can start doing this movement, doing 5 triples, 6 triples, something like that. Build up slowly. Focus on that counter dip. Okay, here, boom. And then overhead, staying stable in the trunk, staying stable in the shoulders. This is a key exercise that we use inside of our programming in Peak Strength. And if you need help with your basketball specific programming, you can download Peak Strength, go in and actually select, I want to train like a basketball player. And you're gonna get an exercise like this or the next one that's also gonna help you develop that shoulder stability and become an elastic freak. The next movement, if you don't have access to these jerk boxes, we're gonna get our garage strength pad right here, get set here, get your dumbbells, put your knees here. We have hip flexion and then extension, and what's gonna happen is we're gonna do a dumbbell PA press, and we're gonna think about that counter movement just from the hips. We won't be using our knees because we're gonna be actually on that pad here. Here, boom. 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 Okay, so we're gonna go, let's say 4 sets of 5, 4 sets of 7 even. This is gonna help you coordinate hip extension, okay? Hip extension, squeezing your glutes, driving, controlling the trunk here, the abs, and then having that energy transfer into your hands from the trunk. This movement is another exercise that's deep inside of our basketball-based training, inside of Peak Strength. If you need help with that periodization, all you have to do is go in, you download Peak Strength, you establish that peak date, and we'll give you a specific basketball program to help you achieve that athletic strength. The next aspect that we're gonna focus on is going to trigger a tremendous amount of dynamic trunk control. And when we think about trunk control, we wanna think about crossing somebody up. I love the visual of an absolute savage like Allen Iverson, who was so undersized, but so agile. Somebody who can control and cut very quickly out of a pivot step. Even if they're driving through the lane and they take some contact, they're able to stay upright and stable and drive into the net. And that's where this next movement is gonna come into play. And I'm gonna give you 2 progressions here. We're gonna focus on, 1, just hitting an easy side med ball throw here. Okay, so we're nice and easy, focusing on rotation, staying planted through the ground, using those hips here. Okay, nice and simple. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add in some complexity. Okay, so we're gonna go here, and I'm gonna throw and rotate, and I'm gonna actually think about planting and getting out of that cut as quickly as possible. The place where dynamic trunk control comes into play is that when I plant, if I didn't have stability in my gut, I would lose tension here and basically fall forward. I wouldn't be able to control that deceleration. I actually wouldn't be able to decelerate. That's one of the best aspects around the best basketball players on the planet, is that they can be extremely fast, plant, get out of the cut very quickly, and then put themselves in a better position offensively or even potentially defensively. Okay, so that's what we wanna focus on. We wanna look through that lens and understand how we can develop that inside of the weight room. So we're gonna go here, boom. Okay, load that up quick. Boom. Boom. One more. Whoa. You go 5 sets of 4 to the right side, 5 sets of 4 to the left side. Do your weak side first. If we can develop that weak side a little bit more to bring both of those sides together, your right side and your left side, so that you can cut equally, that's gonna open up more cuts out on the court. Dynamic trunk control is the epicenter of high performance basketball. So plyometrics are one of the best ways that we can develop that athletic strength specific to basketball. If we're in the weight room and we're actually lifting weights, we wanna build that athletic mass that then we'll make twitchier by doing plyometrics, reflexive series, things along these lines. And that's where this next exercise is gonna come into play. We're gonna do an actual jump series. So what I wanna do is I wanna create movement patterns similar to the sport from different angles, from different speeds. Now, in this case, I want the speed to be very high at all times. I want touchy, quick reactions. We're gonna drop off of a box here. We want a quick absorption, and then we're gonna have an easy jump, mainly focusing on the soleus and the gastroc there. And then when we get back over that bigger hurdle, then we're gonna light up the quads a little bit more as we get over that. We'll land, go back and target the soleus and the gastroc and the Achilles, and then do that again over the big hurdle. So we're gonna change from jump to jump where that focus is gonna be, but you have to, as a coach, educate the athlete on what we're trying to pull out of this drill. So we're gonna be here, boom, 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 okay? So you wanna focus on the mini hurdle, a little jump, more so from the ankle. The big hurdle, a little bit more from the knee and the hip. Target that as much as possible, and that's gonna help strengthen all those key joints. They're gonna help create that twitchy athlete out on the court. Now, let's get to the next plyometric series that's gonna be very sport specific. Okay, so the next movement here is very unique, and I want to light up our nervous system here. We talked about rate coding way back in the beginning of the video, and then transferring that strength using some forms of rate coding. The easiest way for individuals who aren't into sports science to visualize it is smashing that game controller button, moving as quickly as possible so that you can produce as much power in that video game. It's muscle mashing, essentially. So that's where this exercise comes into play. We wanna focus on lighting up our nervous system, firing into this specific position, okay? So we're gonna do this. We're gonna get into this movement pattern here, a split squat, okay? I'm gonna get under here. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna focus on driving up as much as I possibly can for 10 seconds. And you're gonna feel that in your Achilles, that in that back leg. You're gonna feel that in the front leg through the knee. I'm gonna be here. Here, try and lift this freaking rig off the floor and be as explosive as you possibly can. 5 sets, 10 seconds each leg. And we're gonna pair this with a sweet exercise that's super simple, but transfers really well to hitting that sweet layup. That's a very challenging movement. It's one of those exercises that you don't realize how hard it is until you rack it and you're getting a little lightheaded. So just be careful on that. Now, I wanna superset that with this easy movement. And I sort of feel like right now I haven't even tried this yet this morning. I might sort of screw this up, so I wanna see. It's just gonna be a skip for height. And we wanna think about that penultimate plant and then going for height and elevating our hips as much as possible. So we're here, boom, 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 boom. I'll walk back. Let's try and get like 5 sets of 4 on each leg. My weak leg is my right leg, so I'm actually gonna think about doing that first here. Boom, 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 boom. So the big factor here is that when we're doing skips for height, think through the lens of how it's gonna transfer over onto the court. Take that feeling of the split squat and also try and drive that into that penultimate plant to raise the hip height. When we're training that athletic strength for basketball, we've got to look at how can we improve our dynamic trunk control? How can we improve our overhead position with technical coordination movements like the power jerk or the PA press? How can we improve our overall strength with a trap bar deadlift using the garage strength contrast method and getting into those plyometrics or getting into some type of reflexive movement? And then obviously as we're building that muscle mass, we need to backdoor everything with those extremely explosive plyometric series. So we do all this inside of our basketball specific strength training. You can head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength for 7 free days of training, and you can get 5 free training sessions that's gonna give you easy access to freak-based training. Because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.